Hello, everyone, and welcome back into CUTV Sports 1 and Forechecking. My name is Trevor Catellis. Alongside me, we have a bunch of different hosts with us today. Personally, all of our hockey team that we have down in our CUTV suite. You can see us on the right there. I'm going to jump over to gallery view here. As you can see to my left on the screen, probably your right, Mr. Doug Glackey, our hockey expert, Randy from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. We got Jonathan Sakaguchi, DJ Timberwolf down there holding it down. We got Peyton Trollinger over there. Just secured a brand new job. Congratulations to you, man. And Nolan Beislein up there in Hershey Bears territory. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining back into Forechecking. We're ready for hockey. It's finally ready to resume. Hope you guys are ready too.
Been too long, man. Been too long.
I'm so excited. Let's go.
Our hockey expert's been keeping me updated as things have gone on. And, Doug probably does the most out of all of us. So, Doug, before you kind of get into explaining it all, what have you heard, just about everything going on so far and kind of the process getting back into it?
Well, it's pretty crazy. We got to a point where we thought there's no chance this is going to happen. And then Commissioner Gary Bettman had a press conference and was like, we're doing a 2014 playoff and we're doing it in hub cities. So the two hub cities are going to be in Toronto and Edmonton. The Eastern Conference will be housed in Toronto, and the Western Conference will be housed in Edmonton. And the playoff field has been expanded to 24 teams to help accommodate those that were on the playoff bubble at the time of the stoppage, because it was simply unfair to throw those teams out of the mix. And this helps a lot with TV ratings and revenue. So why not make it 24 teams? So you have added you've added 8 more teams to your typical 16-team format, and it's going to be a wild little summer getaway here, boys. Here we go.
And I think a lot of our teams, a lot of the teams, if you watched Forechecking as the season has gone on here, at least a little bit of spring that we had before COVID-19 kind of put us off campus. But a lot of our teams, I think all of our teams, our favorites at least that were in Pick'ems, have made the playoffs. So none of our teams are left out in the dust. They're kind of wondering if they're going to get in or not. I mean, all of our teams are in, so it's kind of whose team's going to do the best now. I know, Doug, you have a couple favorite teams up there with the Pens and, Toronto Maple Leafs. No one kind of stole your thunder here because he's wearing Toronto out there instead of the Washington Capitals like normal, but he's holding it down. Peyton over there wearing the Chicago Blackhawks jersey. And I think Johnny changed right before the show, but he's in Vegas right now. He was wearing the Canucks jersey, but his favorite team, I believe, is the Dallas Stars. So why not choosing Dallas today, Johnny?
I decided to switch it up because if you remember, or the last show that we did that had me on it, I wore the Stars jersey, but it is hanging right behind me here along with all the others that I have that are playoff contenders. So the Rangers are up there, the Canucks are up there, your Colorado Avalanche, the Coyotes, and the couple Penguin jerseys, and the one studded one I had to hang it up there, or the Lemieux.
Nice. It looks good. Well, to get into the show here, I'll pop a graphic up on screen for you guys to look at it as well. But Doug is going to give you guys a rundown on how this playoff is going to work out with the new format. So, Doug, break it down for us as much as you can because I know it's a little confusing.
All right. So bear with me here because this is intense. So what it is, like I said, 2014 playoffs. You have a first-round cup qualifier series between the teams that finish third in their division at the time of the stoppage and the wild cards, as well as these playoff bubble teams. So your best of 5 series are going to be, like I said, 5 games, and the winner moves on to the actual playoffs. But that loser, they go into a draft lottery. And if you guys did not know, the Cup qualifier team won this year's NHL draft lottery, and they have a 12.5% chance at getting Alexis Lafreniere, who is projected to be a generational talent and would be a great add to any of these teams that are on the playoff bubble.
And that's just, such a great thing to have there. A lot in store between all these teams. What they have going on, a lot to play for. But as I talked to you a little bit, Doug, a lot of times you're like, is it worth trying to go for the cup, or is it worth trying to build a team and just kind of ease through this, see what as far as you get, and then kind of try to build off that, to try to get some of the draft lottery. I mean, do you think that's a better move, or do you think you should just try to go for the cup anyway?
Well, I think right now you have to go for the cup. There's so much weird stuff going on this year, and I feel like a lot of teams are going to come back flat. So it's going to be a very even playing field, even for those teams such as like the Wild or the Coyotes, who were on the way to not making the playoffs if the NHL were able to finish the regular season as they wanted to. And, I think it's one of those things where you have as good of a chance as anybody to win the Stanley Cup, especially with the way that the round robin is set up, where things may get reseeded rather than what they normally should be. Like there's a chance that the Boston Bruins could end up being the 4th seed in the East if one of these teams in the Eastern Conference round robin tournament get hot. So if I'm any of these teams, I'm trying to win the Stanley Cup. But either way, that chance at the first overall pick is a great consolation prize if you fall short in this Cup qualifier round.
Yeah, and looking into those, before we kind of get into breaking down each of the Cup qualifier round matchups, talking about those round robins, you said kind of they're each playing each other once throughout this whole Cup qualifier round to see, where they place in those seedings 1 through 4. And kind of jumping over to the East first, when you got to name off those teams. Of course, you have Boston, you have Tampa Bay, you have Philadelphia, and we have Nolan Weissline's team of the Washington Capitals up in there. Nolan, just from your opinion, where do you think your Washington Capitals stand between those other 3 in those round robin rounds?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what it is, TK, I think it's going to be competitive the entire way. Like Doug was saying, it could really go any way for this Stanley Cup. I mean, nobody's played since March or whenever it was. So, I hope the Caps do well as a fan, and so does Doug with the Penguins and you with the Avalanche and whoever it may be. But, I'm just hoping that, nobody gets hurt right away just because some guys haven't, been playing as much as others could have been overseas.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw this one over to Johnny here real quick as well, because he's wearing a Vegas jersey, and he knows I'm a Colorado fan and things as well. You're even a Dallas Stars fan. Yep. But, in the West side, looking at that, we have Colorado, St. Louis, Dallas, and Vegas in those round robins. 3 of those teams, St. Louis, Colorado, and Dallas, all coming out of the Central Division. I mean, how's that? How do you feel about that? 3 of those teams being in that round robin, all from the same division.
I mean, it's gonna be rough to walk because, like you said, and all 3 are coming out of the same division, and they played each other the most coming into this. Even though they haven't played since early March, I still have a feeling like Colorado, St. Louis, and Dallas are going to give it their all. But it's going to come down to who's going to have the better skill and who's going to be more prepared coming into this, at least flat-footed. But I think the wild card in that round robin series is going to be Vegas, because they are the odd man out of this, because they are in the Pacific Division and they don't play these 3 teams as much as they do everybody else that's in the field below them. So if I had to guess, and this is just me personally, my opinion, I think St. Louis is still going to end up with the number 1 seed. I think Vegas could end up number 2, Colorado 3, and Dallas 4.
Okay, I like that. I like that look. And throwing it over here, Peyton here, because we haven't touched on you yet, so I'm going to throw it over to you real quick. When I know you're a fan of a couple teams as well. You like the Canucks and things as well. So, are you trying to vote for a team out of the West coming here? Like, if you pick one of the ones out of the round robins, the ones who obviously have the solidified round, they're in the playoffs. They're not going to get eliminated through these elimination rounds. If one of the teams, whether it be East or West, were to come out of it right now, who do you think would have the best shot?
So out of the East, Boston's really a good bet, but they recently have lost some very key players. I'm pretty sure they lost Pasternak. I want to say Bergeron, Tuukka Rask. That's just to name a few. And they originally were a safe bet. I think they are still a very solid team. But as I said even before we started recording, it's honestly a toss-up. Any of these teams can be a very good pick.
If I had to pick one team out of the East and West, I would get first seed. I actually am going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say the Flyers are a very hot team. I've talked with Doug about this off camera. You know, they have excellent goaltending, Carter Hart. Carter Hart's actually one of my favorite goaltenders now, except for Fleury. Fleury's always number one. But, you know, they have a really strong defense. They got that nice forward core. So I really think that they're going to band together and they're going to get that number one seed. As a Penguins fan, it really hurts to say that, but I do think they're going to get that number one seed. I'm going to piggyback off of Johnny here, too. I do believe St. Louis will get that number one seed. If I had to pick, honestly, I might say Dallas will get the fourth seed because I'm going to just disagree a little bit. I think Vegas can pull through. Dallas, I've always been a little weary with. Don't get me wrong, they are a very good team, but I don't know if they'll get third or second or third seed.
Okay, sounds good. Well, for parts of round robin, so jumping over to the gallery view, so you guys can all see all of us now on screen during the recording. But you know, getting to it, you know, we're looking in taking, you know, all of the eliminated rounds we have right now. Let's break them all down one by one. So you know, I know some of you guys have the schedules pulled up. So whoever, you know, who has them pulled up here, I'm not
I
even
have
sure.
it right there for you, TK. So the first series that I got pulled up is the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Columbus Blue Jackets, 8 versus 9.
Okay. All right. Well, let's shoot to you, Doug, because I know Toronto's one of your favorite teams here. So let's start with you, Doug. What are you thinking in that series? Tell me what you think, and then pick who you think your winner would be in your opinion.
This is going to be one of the wildest series you'll see out of this entire bracket because you have a team in Columbus that is all defense and no offense going up against a Leafs team that's all offense and no defense. And the other thing that I want to say, just I don't know if it's going to happen, but keep it on your radar. Nick Robertson might make the Maple Leafs roster out of this training camp. And he will probably play on the third line with Alex Kerfoot and Kasperi Kapanen. And that would be a perfect shot in the arm to the Leafs lineup. And I think the Leafs are going to take this one in 4.
4 games. All right, let's jump over to you, Nolan. Same series, Blue Jackets and Maple Leafs. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, both teams competitive either way. Blue Jackets just always seem to be there. I mean, that Coach Tortorella just kind of kicks those guys into shape and they get moving some way, somehow. So, you know, it sucks not to say that the Blue Jackets could come through, but I just honestly think the way that the Maple Leafs are going to come out strong here with just that offensive presence. I mean, you have top 3 lines there that could be a top 1 or 2 line for any team. You know, the Wild, somebody, if one of those lines went there, it would be perfect. So I would have to say I'm taking the Leafs in 5.
A full 5-game series for the Leafs. So both of us picking the Leafs so far. Let's jump over to Johnny. Leafs or Blue Jackets? Give us your thoughts.
Well, Nolan and Doug both kind of stole my thunder on that one, on saying exactly what I was going to say. But Toronto is a team all offense but no defense. And in Columbus, the opposite. There's no offense but all defense. And they were making a hot push there towards the end and right before we had the stoppage back in March. Like, I was worried because that was who Pittsburgh was supposed to play right when this was getting ready to start with the COVID stuff. And I honestly think Columbus was going to make that push in there, but I'm going to go against the grain and go against Doug and Nolan on this one. I'm going to take the Jackets in 5.
Okay.
Jackets in 5 games. All right, Peyton, jumping over to you here. What are you thinking? We got 2 for the Leafs, 1 for the Blue Jackets.
Well, I'm going to have to make it 3-1. I'm going to go with the Leafs. And the reason why is because the Toronto Maple Leafs, yes, they've let us all down. They've let me down so many times because I hate Boston. But they've just been on the brink of just excellence. And they have a really good core, like I said. I just think I think they have the guys to do it. And, you know, every year we just get teased with just like their potential and they always choke. And I really think it helps that they're not playing Boston. I think that's going to be really good for them. So I do think Toronto will win. I think they're going to win it in 4. and also the fact that Columbus, don't get me wrong, like, what Johnny said, they are really good still. But, they took a huge shot when they lost, they lost Duchesne, they lost Bobrovsky. Like, they lost that, like, leadership. And I don't think they're as good as they were last year. So I'm going to go with Toronto.
That's some good statements there. I'm going to side with Johnny here on this one, just because in my mind, I don't care what sport it is to me. Defense ends up winning games for you. And part of that, kind of goes with goaltending. I don't really bank on any goaltending for either of those teams, to be honest. I mean, they're both great goaltenders, don't get me wrong. But I wouldn't bank on them as much as I would some other goaltenders. But defense, to me, always assists in that goaltending capability as far as the hockey team goes. So I'm going to go with the Blue Jackets. I would say it'll take a full 5-game series, though, as well. But I am going to stick with the Blue Jackets in that one just because of the strong defensive capabilities of that team. And I think if they band together, they can shut down the offense of Toronto. And if you're able to disrupt that, it does mess it up for them. And it'll benefit in the end for the Blue Jackets. So let's jump back to Gallery View here. We got through that first series there with 3-2 for Toronto winning that series over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Johnny, the next series, what do you got?
Oh, this is going to be a good one. I know Dougie's been excited for this series. Pittsburgh versus Montreal, the 5 and the 12 seed.
Well, let's jump right over to Doug. He's already smiling. Doug, Pittsburgh or Montreal? Hit me. What you got?
All right. I wanted to tank for Alexis Lafreniere. I wanted to try and get that 12.5% chance at the first overall pick. And then I saw Jake Gensel take the ice. Oh, my goodness, guys. It's happening. The Penguins have the best offensive depth they've had in the entire Crosby-Malkin era. I'm so excited for this playoff run. I've talked to Peyton and Johnny about this several times off camera, saying that if they're able to get off and get past Montreal, they'll be able to go on a run to at least the Eastern Conference Final. So in this series, I'm taking the Penguins in 4. They're gonna make it where Montreal wins 1 game so that Sidney Crosby can play on his birthday. Pens in 4.
Ooh, that's a good strategy. I like it. Penguins winning on the birthday of Sidney Crosby. I like it. All right. So jumping over, Nolan, Penguins or Canadians? What do you got?
Yeah, I'll take the Penguins. Gensel's back. That's about it. Keep going.
Easy pick. How many games do you think?
4.
4. All right. Johnny, what do you got?
I've got the hat on, but it's time and the buckle down, boys. The bucket is on. Let's go. Oh, I'm taking the Pens in 4 as well. Oh, the only thing that I'm worried about in this series is Carey Price. That is the only thing I'm worried about with Montreal. Other than that, I don't think there's going to be an issue with the Penguins playing Montreal.
All right. So we'll jump over Peyton. Well, how many games, Johnny? What are you thinking? 4 games? All right. So solid Penguins win in 4 games. 3-3 so far. Peyton, your pick.
I'm going to go with the Pens. But
obviously.
Obviously. But I want to say 4 games, but I really think we could take them out in 3. I think it's going to be a sweep.
A sweep for the Pens. All
I
right.
think it's going to be a sweep. Like Doug said, there's a lot of offensive depth. And not even just offensively, they got defensive depth. Tristan Jarry is a really good goaltender. He's developing into a goalie, a really good goaltender. Matt Murray, we all have our complaints with him, but he's still a very serviceable goaltender. The only real things to worry about with Montreal, Domi, I forgot what that one dude said. Jesper Kokaniemi? Yeah, that's what his name is. And Carey Price. That's probably about it.
I remember when I was playing my fantasy hockey, I'll tell you one thing for sure, and it was definitely the fact of I had Brendan Gallagher and Domi on my team, and that really helped me out. I ended up winning that. I don't know how you guys' fantasy hockey teams played out, but I ended up winning that league just because of COVID-19. And I wasn't able to play the playoffs with the rest of the crew. But I'm going to take, aside from that, I'm taking the Pens as well. I'll just stick with the 4-game series. Penguins win it in 4. The Canadians are a tough team, don't get me wrong. They play when they want to play, but they don't have enough power to get past anyone in a first round, just in my opinion, the way they've played. So definitely taking the Pens.
Before we go on to the next thing, Doug's going to appreciate what I'm going to say. Hey, you already said the Pens have the power because Montreal's lacking a little bit in offense. It's going to be hard to beat the Penguins when you have a 1A and 1B for your first two lines, and your bottom six is 3A and 3B. I mean, let's be honest. Anywhere else in the league, these would probably be a second or a third line for the Penguins' bottom six.
Indeed, they would. All right, jumping over to the next series. Johnny, what do you have?
The 7-10 matchup, we have the New York Islanders versus the Florida Panthers.
So this is a matchup that I like here because I like both those teams. So let's jump in here. Doug, what do you got? You have Panthers, you have Islanders. What are you thinking?
I'm not going to have a lot of commentary on this because this is one of those random playoff matchups where nobody has any idea what's going to happen. But I'm just going to go with my gut feeling and say Islanders in 4.
All right, jumping over. Nolan, what are you thinking? Islanders, Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, that like Doug said, it's kind of one of those series where you don't know who's going to win. I mean, the goaltending on both sides could either be good or it could just be bad. So I'm gonna take the Panthers here, but I'm saying it's going all 5.
All 5 games in the Florida Panthers. So we are 1-1. Johnny, your take.
Yeah, and everything's been said about the Islanders and the Panthers already from Doug and Nolan. Both teams have very good, talented teams as well as good goaltending. If this was a normal series, I'd say it would probably go 0-6. But I'm gonna take the Islanders in a clean sweep.
Okay.
3-game sweep for the Islanders. Okay. All right, so we are 2-1. Islanders over Panthers. Let's shoot over to Peyton here. What do you think?
So I do like both teams. I've always had a soft spot for the Panthers, not really the Islanders because they're in the Metro and they also swept us. But I really do like the Islanders. I love their team. You know, they got nice leadership. Like I said, I've been saying it, the core is what matters, and they have a really nice core, and they've been building that for years. And you know, I love Barry Trotz as the coach. You know, he's really turned that team around and just given them a whole nother attitude. I want to say Isles in 3, but I'm going to actually go 4. I'm going to go Isles in 4.
Isles in 4. Okay, so we're at 3-1 right now. I guess that leaves myself. This is one of those series that I'm not sure about. I was a big Panthers fan until Vincent Trocheck got traded. If you don't know the story about that one, you can hit us up and let us know and ask, and we'll tell you guys off camera. That's a long story for another day. Doug knows the story. You all know the story. But if you want to know the story, you can let us know off camera. I was a big fan of the Florida Panthers when Trocheck was there. He's not there anymore. Still a fan of the Panthers, though. I really think that the Panthers, I thought that this would have been their year to finally make it into playoffs, even if it was a normal playoff run. I think they would have made it in no matter what. So just regarding that, I'm going to take the Panthers in 5 games. It'll take all 5, but I'm going to take the Panthers. So a 3-2 there as well. Let's jump over to the next game. Johnny, what do we have?
The 6 versus 11 matchup of the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers.
And I believe that's the last one in the East, correct?
Yes, it is. That is the last Eastern Conference matchup. We're going to get into the West here in a second.
All right, so let's finish this one off then. Rangers and Hurricanes. Doug, start us off.
This is going to be a really interesting series because you have the Rangers coming off of a great season where Artemi Panarin is arguably going to win the Hart Trophy, as well as having Mika Zibanejad by his side. But with the Hurricanes, man, that's an interesting team because they traded for Vincent Trocheck at the trade deadline, even though they had absolutely no reason to. So that's going to force Jordan Staal back into that illustrious third-line center role where he played that in Pittsburgh and absolutely destroyed people. So I think that the Hurricanes have the edge here simply because of their offensive depth, especially at center, and how great their defense looks on paper. So I'm going to take the Hurricanes in a clean sweep. They're going to win it in 3.
All right, let's jump it over. Nolan, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, keep it quick. Rangers, they have a couple players, but just not enough. And I think Lundqvist's time's coming to an end. And I think really the only hope that they have right now, the Rangers, is that there's just no pesky fans in Carolina that's really keeping them, it's going to be no fans in any stadium. So I think that's kind of will help them a little bit, because I know from being a Caps fan, those Caps definitely took it the full way, especially playing in Carolina. It was just beating and fighting and you name it, good old hockey series. So I think that's the only hope that the Rangers had, was that they didn't have to go to Carolina to play. But I'm taking Carolina in 4.
Carolina 4 games, so the Rangers will put up a victory. But we have 2-0 for the Hurricanes. Let's jump over to Johnny and your thoughts.
I have to agree here. There's a lot of offense coming in front on the Hurricanes. You got the Storm moving in. And because you and I were on the air for WCAL during the trade deadline, and I believe that was the time the Rangers were just having a fire sale.
They were.
Your show. And we were looking like, if they somehow squeak into the playoffs with nobody there, it's going to be a miracle. And I have to agree, still to go by that. I'm not going with them. Yes, I'm using your jersey, TK, that you forgot to pick up. I'm taking the Hurricane. Storm's coming, baby. Get ready to rock and roll. Give me the Canes 4.
I love that jersey. You have no idea. That's my Sebastian Aho jersey, ladies and gentlemen, the third alternate. So I just haven't picked it up from Johnny's house yet. Peyton, your choice now. Hurricanes, Rangers.
So I really like what the Rangers are doing. I really like how they just embrace this rebuild, and they're just kind of going with it, just retooling everything. They are a very nice young team. You got Artemi Panarin, you got Georgiev, which is an amazing star-studded goalie. He's going to do great things. You got Mika Zibanejad doing unreal. Capo Caco, which was the second overall pick this past year. I think he's doing pretty well. But unfortunately, I do not think that they're going to have enough leadership, or I just don't think that they're going to have enough gas, to be honest. They're a very nice young team, inexperienced, kind of like the Hurricanes were, but I just don't see this year being quite it. I do think they're going to put up a fight, but I am going to say Canes in 5, actually, because I do believe the Rangers will put up a fight, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Carolina's depth.
So Carolina in 5. That's a full series there, Peyton.
I know.
I'm going to take Carolina in a clean sweep of 3. I'm agreeing with Doug. No, I don't see any chance for the Rangers against the strong Hurricanes team. And I may be biased, but Forechecking down plays for the Hurricanes as well. And if I'm just go with that in that regard. The Hurricanes in 3, take a clean sweep, move on to the next round. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's go back to our gallery view here, seeing everyone on camera. Let's jump over to the opposite side and head west in the country here. Johnny, give us our first one in the west. Let's break it down.
This one's going to be an interesting one. Your 8-9 matchup. Calgary Flames versus the Winnipeg Jets.
Your Winnipeg Jets. Doug knows what I'm talking about. Doug, what you got?
All right, this is a nice little evenly matched playoff matchup here between the Jets and the Flames. Lots of great players for both sides that I like. You guys know I love Johnny Gaudreau. I like Mark Scheifele. But honestly, I'm giving the edge to the Winnipeg Jets simply because of Connor Hellebuck, man. He's probably going to run away with the Vezina Trophy this year. Easily could have gotten some Hart Trophy votes because of how stellar he was in net this season, keeping the Winnipeg Jets in the playoff hunt. And I'm going to take the Jets in 4 games, and this is going to force Johnny Gaudreau out of Calgary, boys.
Moving on to Nolan. What do you think, Jets or Flames?
Yeah, both sides have great players. Winnipeg, Line A, Scheifele, Myers, but then Calgary just right back at you with, Backlund, Gaudreau. So I think it honestly could go either way. I'm taking 5 all day, but I'm going the Flames just because it's that Alberta playoff time. They're out there in Edmonton, and I'm taking them over to the Jets. I just don't think the Jets are going to have it in that final game in them.
Moving on to Johnny. What are you thinking?
I'm actually a little shocked here that Dougie did not pick the Flames. I honestly thought he was going to go with that one. But give me Calgary in 4. Or I like Johnny Hockey. I think this is the year that he can try and finally get that chip off his shoulder in the playoffs and start winning some hockey games that mean something. But I think this year that we could see Calgary make a nice little run. I'm going to say probably at least to the semifinals. But give me the Flames in 4.
Flames in 4. All right. Peyton, what do you think?
I'm going to tie it up. Jets in 4.
Jets in 4. All right.
Like Doug said, Connor Hellebuck has been an absolute just beast. The Flames really let me down last year, so I might be a little biased. I had them going, I think, to the finals last year, and we see where that ended up. So I'm still a little butthurt about that. But honestly, I just think they got the edge in the series, But this is a very evenly matched game, and like Nolan said, it can go either way. But I do think the Jets got this, though. I think that they're going to band together. They're going to get the whiteout in Manitoba, I believe, and they're just going to win the series in 4.
To keep in mind that it was my Colorado Avalanche that beat your Calgary Flames last year. I'm sorry we let you down. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Jets as well. I think you could go for a 5-game series, but I am going to take the Jets just off the fact of the goaltending of Connor Hellebuck. Absolutely outstanding this season, and I think he can ride them the whole way through this series. A little bit of difficulty, obviously. The Calgary is a tough team, but I'm going to give it to the Jets in 5. All right, jump over back to our gallery view so we can see everybody here. Next matchup in the West. Johnny, what do you got?
Well, before I get to that, I just want to say how it was perfect timing that you said you picked the Jets and the logo came right above your head.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's just a scrolling slideshow. I have no idea when they come up.
Yeah, so it was just perfect timing on that one.
Anyway, that.
Yeah,
if
right.
If only, right?
Next matchup, the 5 versus 12, the Edmonton Oilers and the Chicago Blackhawks.
Connor McDavid, baby. All right, Doug, what do you got?
Kane, baby.
We're in a battle right above each other here. Oilers or Blackhawks? All right. What do you got?
This has the potential to be one of those crazy upsets. I like the Blackhawks here because they have 3 great centers in Jonathan Taves, Dylan Strome, and Kirby Dach. And they have a lot of good wingers surrounding all of their centers. I think if Corey Crawford is able to stay healthy, this team can make a nice little run easily to the conference final. I'm going to take the Hawks in 5 here, boys.
All right, the Hawks in all 5 games. Nolan, what are you thinking? Do you agree or disagree?
I'm disagreeing. Like Doug said, it could be an upset, but I just think Edmonton, the way they're playing, they just kind of have players all over the ice that can score. And I'm thinking they're taking them in 5, and I think it is the end of the era of Kane and Taves in Chicago.
All right. Well, that a bold statement there from Mr. Nolan Beislein. Johnny, what are you thinking?
I have to agree with Nolan. I think the Oilers are going to win this one. And don't get me wrong, the Hawks are a very talented team. Both teams are very talented. Both have very good offensive players. Both have good defensive players. But I have 2 words for you. Leon Draisaitl. Give me the Oilers in 4.
Now I'm going to jump over to Peyton here. He's next anyway, but I know he'll have a comment on that regard because he is a big component of Leon Draisaitl with only because he plays with McDavid. So go ahead and explain your reasoning and then give your pick.
I just personally think Leon Draisaitl, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking his performance. It takes a lot to score in the NHL. I just really don't think he would have been anything without Connor McDavid. That's just where I'm going to leave that. Anyway, I'm going to tie it up, and I'm going to go with the Blackhawks. I do think there is going to be a major upset here. I think the Blackhawks are going to catch the Oilers off guard. They're going to win it in 4, and that's what's going to catch them off guard. I do like Chicago. And before I even put the jersey on, I almost went with Edmonton, but I just had a gut feeling about Chicago. So I'm always going to go with my gut. I got to go with Chicago on this. Like Doug was saying, they got that center depth. They got Taves. They just got Kirby Doc. They got all that, and they got the Brinkets. I know Duncan Keith's getting old up there, but I think he's still a very serviceable defenseman. And, like you said, the key is definitely Corey Crawford. If Corey Crawford is locked in, I think he's got it. And go Hawks.
I like the jersey there. I'm gonna disagree though. I'm going not just because I'm wearing the jersey. Big fan of Edmonton and Connor McDavid and that whole team. They've been playing out of this world this season a lot better than when I've seen them play in a while. And I just think they have that momentum carried in. Even though we have had the break, they still have that momentum carrying in to push them in further into the playoffs. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with my gut feeling and take the Edmonton Oilers. Again, not just because I'm wearing the jersey. I think it could go, probably 5 games. I'll take the full series. But Edmonton Oilers, again, tying up the logo. But Edmonton Oilers taking the win on that one. All right, Johnny, next West Series game. What do you got?
Peyton, you will be excited for this one. It is the 7-10 series, Vancouver versus Minnesota.
Since Peyton's so excited, I'm gonna jump to him first here, Peyton. Make your pick. Canucks or Wild?
Vancouver in 3.
Oh, full sweep for Vancouver. Okay.
I think it's going to be a full sweep.
Explain.
Minnesota, they've just been always mediocre. They've never been too great, but they've never been, too bad. They've just always been in that middle, and then whenever they get to the playoffs, they just get crushed. I mean, we saw it, I think it was a couple years ago with the Jets. They got absolutely just mollywopped in the playoffs, and it was honestly embarrassing to watch. And the Canucks, they have great talent. They got new leadership in Bo Horvat, Elias Pettersson. They got, my man Brock Besser, who hopefully will stick around next season. I got to go with Canucks in 3. They just have so much talent.
I'm going to jump over to Doug here. He was smiling about the Brock Besser comments. I'm going to shoot it over to Doug here. Doug, thoughts?
All right. I really like Minnesota in this series simply because they just made Dean Evison their full-time coach, and he's been letting the younger players go. He's been letting the boys play. He's let Kevin Fiala run wild, and I think in a 5-game series, Fiala and guys like Joel Eriksson-Ek and Luke Cunnin could easily win this team 3 games.
No.
I really like the Wild here. I'm going to take the Wild in 5.
Wow, in a full 5-game series. Nolan, let's see what you think on that one, Wild or Canucks.
Yeah, I mean, while everybody's been talking, I've really been thinking about it because it's just kind of one of those Vancouver, okay, Besser, kind of those guys. Used to the Sedins, they're out of there. Minnesota, Dubnyk can just step up anytime. I mean, a couple seasons ago, he was basically like a Vezina contender the entire season. I mean, the way he's playing. But, the way Vancouver is, I mean, Jacob Markstrom in net, I just don't trust him at all in that, especially coming to playoffs. I mean, last time we really saw Vancouver make a deep run was against Boston, and we saw who won there. So I'm taking Minnesota in 5 as well.
All right, Johnny. Peyton is not happy about this, but Johnny, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I can see Peyton over here shaking his head. But you guys kind of stole my thunder already, all 3 of you. You pretty much stole what I was going to say. Hey, but again, you've got a top talent up there in Vancouver, or a decent goaltender in Markstrom. The problem I have with him is he's streaky. He can either be on fire, or he's going to be the guy you're going, why is he in goal? But also, as Doug said, they're just letting the young guys go. They're letting them play that hockey bud. So, if I had to pick in this series, because this honestly could be one of those upset series. It really could.
Don't say it.
But I'm going to make Peyton happy. I'm going to tie this one up. Give me Vancouver in 4.
Yes, let's go.
All right. I'm going to – since it's tied, I'm going to break the tie. But I'm breaking it with Minnesota. Minnesota's just – it's just – yeah. Minnesota's taking the win. I wanted them to win the last year in the series. They just honestly didn't, but I wanted them to, and I think they can do it this year. So I'm gonna go with with Minnesota over Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver has a lot of talent, obviously, but I think Minnesota can find a way to be a little more powerful, especially with Kevin Fiala. Big fan of him. He helped my fantasy team as well in a last-minute ad like the last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna take Minnesota. I'm just gonna go with that. We'll make that 3-2. All right, jumping over, and I think we have one more game left in the West, Johnny. Which one is it?
I actually need my goal horn queued up for this one.
I'll put it in the edit.
It's the 6 versus 11 in Nashville Predators and the Arizona Coyotes.
Do you want to do your howl?
Oh, why not?
DJ Timberwolf and the howl, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Doug, your thoughts: Predators or Coyotes?
This is the one series on in the entire playoff that I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. You have Arizona, who had time to get a lot of guys healthy, let Kessel get some rest, and then you have the Predators, who came on strong towards the end after making a coaching change, bringing in John Hines in exchange for in absence of Peter Laviolette. I think that the Coyotes are going to take this one in 5 games, simply because I need to just go with the gut feeling. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
Okay, Nolan, what are you thinking on this one? Coyotes or Preds?
Yeah, I mean, this, like Doug said, this is going to be that series that just no one, I don't think, can predict. I think it's just going to be a beat in a battle, figure out who's going to win, almost like what we saw a couple years ago whenever Toronto and Boston went to that Game 7 and Boston clutched it out. But I'm going to take Arizona. I just don't think Nashville has enough. They used to really rally off that playoff crowd, but no crowd this year. I'm taking Arizona.
All right, 2 for Arizona here. We'll see where we go from here. Johnny, Coyotes or Preds?
Again, this is going to be one of those interesting matchups where nobody's going to know what's going to happen. And you still have to worry about the threat of Roman Josi over in Nashville, but you also have to worry about Taylor Hall, Clayton Keller, or Gardland, and Kessel all over in Arizona. It's going to be a dragged-out series, but give me the Coyotes in 5.
All right, so 3 for the Coyotes. Let's jump over. Peyton, thoughts?
I got the Yotes. I'm feeling the Yotes. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I actually think it's going to be a 5-game series. You know, I agree with the rest of them. It's kind of a toss-up. I know it's a little repetitive, but I love the depth again of the Coyotes. You know, they got Taylor Hall, Phil Kessel. You know, they got Clayton Keller, which is huge. You know, he's starting to break out for the Coyotes. And you know, with the Panthers, I always have had a soft spot for the Coyotes. I just honestly felt bad for them. Like, you know, they always got whooped, and you know, now there's something that's going to be big there. Kind of like in New York, there's something brewing there, and it might not happen this year, but it's really starting to kick off. So I got the Yotes.
All right, and I'll make my pick here real quick, and I'm gonna upset all of you because I'm gonna take the Preds, just because Pecorine in goal. You know, he's one of those goaltenders. It's really hard to beat when he gets hot in the playoffs at the time that he gets there. And I think he's gonna be one of those goaltenders hard to beat. Again, timing up the logo. Thank you a lot. Predators are gonna win this one, I believe. And I'm not saying the Coyotes don't have the talent. They obviously do. They're a very strong team. They've been waiting a long time to get a playoff hope here and try to get some wins. But the Predators always end up strong in the playoffs, and I just think they're going to pull through and win this one. Jump back over to gallery view here. That's all of our elimination round matchups. So let's get into a little bit more. Right, well, obviously we have a couple exhibition games coming up, but right before we get into those, let's talk. If you had right now at this moment, even before anything takes place here for the playoffs, if you had to pick one team that you think would be in the Stanley Cup, we won't have to choose the whole matchup of the Stanley Cup, but if you have one team that you think could make the Stanley Cup final right now, whether East or West, doesn't matter, who would it be? Nolan, let's start with you.
Really put me on the spotlight right away.
I can come back if you need time to think.
No. I'll make somebody. I mean, the way that this playoff is going to be different than any other. I mean, you've seen so many different players talk about it, like, oh, wow, this going to be, one of those playoffs that you kind of put the asterisk beside, like saying, you take 3 months off and then you're going to come back and play competitive hockey. It's going to be wild for sure. I mean, these first couple of games, I definitely think we could either see some high-scoring games or low-scoring games. But I think if Boston honestly gets healthy, I just think the way they play, I mean, I have their news updates up in the background, and they got back Tuukka Rask today, Charlie McAvoy, some of those type of guys. So if they get healthy, I think I'm taking them to the Stanley Cup.
All right, so one of your teams will be Boston in the Stanley Cup. Let's jump over to Peyton here. If you had to pick a team, whether East or West, who would it be?
I don't even know. I said this before we even started recording. This is one of those playoffs. You can make a case for any team. I don't even know. If I had to go with my gut feeling, I'm going to go with the Islanders.
Islanders to the Cup.
I really do think they got something there. Like I said, I got to go with my gut. I think they're going to do something big.
That could be our bold statement of the day there, Islanders to the Cup. All right, Johnny.
This one I've been sitting here thinking about it, but if I'm going with the gut feeling right now, what I've got right now, I'm going Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars.
Dallas Stars to the Cup. What are you beating on a drum?
No, that would be my filing cabinet that's sitting here.
It sounded pretty good on audio. I said Dallas Stars to the Cup. Let's jump over to our expert in Johnstown. Are you taking the Penguins to the Cup? Is that what you're going to go with? Or are you going to shock me here?
No, I'm going the Blues. They're going to come out of the West again.
Okay.
I'm not picking the Penguins for anything. I'm not doing anything outlandish. Remember last year I said the Penguins were going to go to the Stanley Cup final, got swept by the Islanders. I don't want that evil put back on them. So I'm taking St. Louis.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Indeed, Johnny, indeed. I think that the Blues are best equipped to come out of the West. And this is going to be like their last dance before Alex Pietrangelo has to go off into the sunset because of the cap staying at the same number it is.
All right. And now, if I had to pick a team, and I think I'm gonna upset some fans here in the world if I had to pick one. And
I think I know what you're gonna pick. I think I know what you're gonna pick.
I obviously would love to see the Colorado Avalanche go to the Cup, but that's not who I'm gonna pick. And I'm gonna upset some hometown fans here for people watching, but I honestly think the Flyers are gonna make a Cup run.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Perfect timing too.
I know what a slideshow is. I honestly think the Flyers will make a Cup run. The Flyers have just been incredible this year. I'm glad. Not that I'm gonna say that I'm not a Pens fan, because I am, but I love to see a team get into the high seedings where they are when they haven't been for a while, and I like to see that. So I'm glad that they're there. I wish the best for them. I like to see some teams win that don't always win. That's the thing for me. Even when we go into other sports such as college basketball, or just for example, a team like Duke always wins. I'm not a fan of Duke because they always win. Same thing with hockey. And I'm not a huge fan of Boston because they win a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the Caps. No offense, Nolan, because they win a lot. It's just the way it is. I like teams that come up from the bottom sometimes and make a run, and I see the Flyers doing that. And the momentum that they have right now with everyone that they have, especially that defenseman and Ivan Provorov. I love him. He's a great player all around. And the rest of that team is just outstanding. I think that they could easily make a Cup run this season. But jumping over as well, since we just talked about a team that we think that could make the Cup, let's talk about an underdog team before we talk about a little bit of the exhibition games and then we wrap up the show from there. But the underdog team. Let's start with you, Johnny. If you have an underdog team out of the whole entire playoff right now, who would you think that could be one of those shocker teams that make a run?
The underdog team that I think would be have the shock value this year or in the playoffs. Oof. Tell you what, I'll give you two. I'll give you one from the West and one from the East, because I have two that came to mind real quick. And the one from the West is the Arizona Coyotes. The other one from the Eastern Conference, I think, and could be. I know I'm going against what I said earlier. I think the shock value one over in the East could be Montreal.
Did you pick the Pens?
I I know. That's why I said I'm going against what I said. But I think those two could easily make a shock value in either conference right now. I'm not going to say they're going to go on a run to the cup. They're just going to go on one of those wild conference runs. That's where they could end up easily either in the conference finals or making a decent run through the qualifying round, the quarterfinals, and the semis.
Peyton, let's jump to you. What would be your team?
I gotta hop on the Arizona bandwagon. I gotta go. Arizona's definitely the underdog, and that's also another reason why I like them is because I've said this earlier in the broadcast. I've just always felt bad for them because they just kept losing, and it's just now I know what they have over there. And I know that they can make some noise here in the future if they keep playing their cards right. But I don't think a lot of people are truly realizing the potential over there. And I do think that the Arizona Coyotes are going to be a wild card. I'm actually going to give you one from the East, too. Again, I'm going to contradict myself here. But the Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to be definitely an underdog. If they can beat Carolina, that alone is just a shock. And who knows what can happen after they beat Carolina. I mean, they're kind of like the Coyotes in a way. They got something nice going over there. They got a nice young core. Like I said, Georgiev is in net. You got Henrik Lundqvist with the veteran leadership. Like I said, I know it contradicts myself, but I see the Rangers and the Coyotes as underdogs.
Okay. Nolan, let's jump to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick the two just because they both come to my head. Minnesota, I'm taking for the West. I just think if they can get through that qualifying round, I think that really gives them a big momentum boost. Like Doug said earlier, the new coach, I think just those young guys really get moving and just kind of let them run wild. And I think that's what's going to boost them if they can get through that qualifying round. But then for the East, I love the Rangers. Always fun to play with if I'm playing NHL on PlayStation or something. But I'm really feeling the Blue Jackets. I mean, they always come out strong. They're always competitive no matter who they're playing against. And I just don't think they ever give up. So I'm taking the Blue Jackets. Maybe not all the way, but at least to, almost to the conference final.
Okay. I like your thoughts there. Let's jump over to our hockey expert, Mr. Doug Gladkey. What do you got?
I'm taking Chicago. I think, there's a saying, every old dog has its day. And I think the Blackhawks, I think it's their time. You're going to get Taves and Kane back into a playoff type atmosphere. And I think they're going to thrive in that. And they're going to help lead these young guys to where they want to be as players. And I think that they can make a run to at least the conference semifinal.
Okay. I like the thoughts. I'm going to jump over and make mine real quick. I would take from the West, if I'm taking one, Minnesota Wild. We made that statement that I think they're going to win that series. So that'd be my pick for there. In the East, I think the Panthers can make a run. It's just the Florida Panthers are the team that they're ready for a time too. A Florida team needs to do something already. So I'm going to give it to the Florida Panthers, and I think that they can make a little run for themselves. All right, so before we close out the show here, talk about a little bit. Originally there was just the playoffs were released, but now talking about there's 3 days of exhibition games before the playoffs start on August 1st. And the first game with an exhibition will be on July 28th, beginning at 4 p.m. with Pittsburgh taking on Philadelphia. And what a game that is. Let's talk about that one to start with, I guess, and then we kind of just touch on the other ones or whatnot. But just kind of highlighting the first exhibition game to officially start hockey back up will be on July 28th at 4 p.m. with the Penguins playing the Flyers, and then the playoffs will commence on August 1st. But every team will play one exhibition game between the 28th and August 1st before the playoffs commence. But Pittsburgh starting it off, playing the Flyers. Doug, thoughts on that game?
Don't play anybody important. Malkin, Crosby, Gensel, Zucker, Letang, and Marino better sit. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. I don't think they will, but that's okay. I like your theory, though. I really do. let's jump over to Johnny. What you got?
After good, Dougie, you don't play anybody important. Get some of those younger guys some time, but also at the same time, you want to get those guys some other competition out there because they haven't played anybody in 3 months. Yeah, 3-4 months now. So we're going to want to see what can they do. Who just give them like 5-10 minutes of ice time, but I wouldn't do any more than that. Let the rest of the guys go out and play some hockey then.
All right, Peyton, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to agree with Johnny here. Like, you definitely don't want to overwork your guys, but you definitely want to see where they're at. It's like a mixture between a preseason game and like the games towards the end of a season where you want to get, the younger guys some reps, more reps than the starters, but you definitely want to get your starters in there just to make sure they're not slacking off or anything like that. So, and especially with this series, Philly and Pittsburgh, we all know it's self-explanatory. That is a very physical series. So I think if you give these young guys a taste of what that series is like, I think they'll appreciate that a lot. But it'll also be a little less pressure on the veterans, such as like Crosby and Malkin, so they don't get banged and bruised up for the qualifiers.
And Nolan, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, both sides, coming out, it's going to be that first game. It's going to be some rough, but, I think if there's some of those younger guys, they sit some veterans, I think that's the time where they're really going to prove themselves to see or show that, they can be in the lineup. I mean, just being a Caps fan, for instance, Connor McMichael, OHL star this past year, you would have never thought he would have made it. And they brought him up to training camp, and they're possibly going to get him in a game. So, I mean, you lose somebody to either the virus or an injury, somebody like that may be able to come right in and fill in. But, any team, that's not just the Caps, but any team could be looking at these younger guys and saying, okay, let's see if you can fill a spot in case we need you.
I like the thoughts there. Yeah, I mean, it's a good game all around. The Penguins and the Flyers are a very, very tough game. Both two tough teams, but always very tough when they play each other as well. So I agree. I'd definitely try to sit as many of your top players as you could. Maybe get them a little bit of ice time, but not much, and then kind of save them for when your playoffs start on August 1st. So we kind of went through everything going on here. Of course, like we mentioned, the first game of hockey will be 4 p.m. on July 28th. When the puck drops for the first time since the COVID-19 era, when it pretty much canceled every sport known to man. So the puck will drop at 4 p.m. July 28th between the Penguins and the Flyers. The playoffs will commence on August 1st, and I believe the puck drop at 8 p.m., Doug, for Penguins on the 1st?
Yeah.
8 p.m. versus Canadians on the 1st, and we gave you that rundown of the playoffs, how it works out. 4 teams in the East and West with the round robins. They'll not be eliminated. And the other ones will play five-game series qualifying rounds and then move on with regular playoff implications from there normally in NHL. So, gentlemen, it's been nice to have a show with you guys back on CUTV since I don't know when's the last time I've been on CUTV. Probably the fishing show.
Show.
Yeah, so it's been nice to get back on camera with you guys. It's been fun, and I'm excited to watch some hockey. I don't know about you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's do that hockey, bud.
It's going to be exciting.
And what he said.
Yeah.
We are definitely ready for some hockey. We want to thank you guys for joining us on CTV Sports 1 for all the viewers out there. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you guys are ready for hockey just as much as we are. And finally, a sport coming back that everyone pretty much watches. So thank you guys for tuning in. On behalf of everyone who joined me, Johnny in his helmet over there. Get a kick out of it every time. Peyton Trollinger, congratulations on the brand new job, sir. Mr. Nolan Beislein, thank you for tuning in out there in Hershey Bears country. We appreciate it. I need some Hershey's chocolate sent my way, by the way.
Anytime. I think Chocolate World's back open.
Who is it?
I think I just got to get screened to get in. That's all.
Hey, man, I'm fully healthy. I'll make a drive out.
Sounds good.
And our hockey expert, Mr. Doug Blackie, with the headband and the Penguins jersey. The Ryan Whitney Penguins jersey, I believe you have on, right?
Yeah, buddy. This is like the new crown jewel of the collection here.
Great. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you again. Thank you to our viewers for tuning in. We hope to see you soon. We're going to have a couple more of these shows going on throughout the process of Forechecking. I know we all discussed it. We'll have one after the qualifier rounds, one about the finals, and then one after the Stanley Cup to kind of wrap everything up for you guys. So you're a fan of Forechecking here, we'll have more coming up on CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube. Just make sure to keep in touch with that. You can follow it for up-to-date videos for that as well. And we have some new shows coming up. I'm sure Johnny has a cooking show coming up pretty soon. I'm sure he has a new one. And Peyton, I think you're still hanging out with Cal, so we'll see some of those coming up. And Nolan's golfing, so we'll see him out there. And I have a new show coming up with iRacing on NASCAR, so I'm sure it's something Dylan will love if any of you guys knew Dylan from former shows here on CUTV. So,
yep. I actually got another series coming up here soon. I'm just going to tease that for now. I'm not going to say what it is. TK, I talked to you about that already.
Yep.
So that'll be in the process coming up later on this summer.
Actually, same here too. I'm teasing something too in the fall.
Nice. Well, we're gonna have some time in the fall. Obviously, no collegiate sports in the fall, so we're gonna have some time to get some new stuff on the air. So, looking forward to it. Again, guys, stay in touch for more shows of Forechecking here on CTV Sports 1 coming up in the near future. But again, thank you to Doug, Peyton, Johnny, and Nolan for joining me on the CTV Sports 1 Forechecking show here today. We're ready for some hockey, and we can't wait for the 28th. Have a good one, guys.